Hello, dear young learners. So, your learning buddy Aprajita is back with a new chapter for you. Are you all ready? So, here we start with chapter number 4, and the chapter is Grannies, the Great Cook. All the grannies are a very good cook. आप लोग अपनी ग्रैंड मदर्स के हाथ का खाना अगर खाया है आप लोगों ने तो कैसा होता है वो इट्स वेरी डिलीशियस ग्रैनी लोग बहुत अच्छा खाना बनाती हैं एंड वो उनसे बड़ा उनसे अच्छा कुक हो ही नहीं सकता सो लेट्स सी अबाउट ग्रैनी who is a great cook. What's there in this chapter? Warm up. Summer vacations are the best time to visit grandmother's place. Summer vacations में ही सब अपनी grandmother के घर जाते हैं. Love of grandmother is pure. She loves her grandchildren so much. कितना प्यार करती हैं grandmothers. Whenever Granny made vanilla or chocolate fudge, she gave me some to take for Mohan, the gardener's son. Now, the writer here is saying, जब उनकी granny chocolate या vanilla fudge बनाती थी, fudge is a sweet made by this milk and cream and it's a soft sweet. तो वो क्या करती थी? वो gardener के बेटे मोहन के लिए भी देती थी. It was no use taking him roast duck or curried chicken because in his house no one ate meat. But Mohan liked sweet gulab jamun, rasgullas, jalebis, which were made with lots of milk and lots of sugar, as well as Granny's homemade English sweets. अब मोहन को मीठा बहुत पसंद था. Mohan, who was Mohan? The gardener's son. We would climb into the branches of jackfruit tree and eat fudge of peppermints or sticky toffee. We could not eat the jackfruit except when it was cooked as a vegetable or made into a pickle. क्या करते थे राइटर एंड मोहन दोनों जैकफ्रूट ट्री पर चढ़ जाते थे और वहां बैठ के वो फज का मजा लेते थे. फज ऑफ पेपरमिंट्स. वो जैकफ्रूट तो खा नहीं सकते, जैकफ्रूट ऐसे तो नहीं खा सकते until and unless you cook it, या उसका अचार बनाते हैं. पिकल मीन्स अचार. But the tree itself was wonderful for climbing. And some wonderful creatures lived in it, squirrels and fruit bats and a pair of green parrots. ये birds उस jackfruit tree पर रहते थे. The squirrels were friendly. जो गिलहरियां होती थी वो बहुत friendly थी. And soon got into the habit of eating from our hands. धीरे धीरे वो मोहन और राइटर हाथ से खिलाते थे उनको एंड दे गॉट सो फ्रेंडली कि वो हाथ से आके खाना ले जाते थे. दे टू वर फॉन्ड ऑफ ग्रैनीज चॉकलेट फज. और उन स्क्विरल्स को भी वो ग्रैनी के हाथ का चॉकलेट फज बहुत पसंद था. One young squirrel would even explore my pockets to see if I was keeping anything for him. और एक जो यंग स्क्विरल थी वो आके राइटर के पॉकेट्स को भी चेक करती थी कि पॉकेट में तो कहीं कुछ नहीं है खाने का. Mohan and I could climb almost any tree in the garden, and if Granny was looking for us, she had called them from veranda, and then from the pantry at the side of the house, and finally from her bathroom window on the other side of the house. There were trees on all sides and it was impossible to tell which one we were in until we answered her call. क्योंकि चारों तरफ ग्रैनी के घर के चारों तरफ पेड़ ही पेड़ थे और बहुत मुश्किल था ये बताना कि मोहन और वो राइटर कहाँ पे कौन से ट्री पे हैं जब तक कि ग्रैनी की आवाज़ का वो जवाब नहीं देते थे. Sometimes Crazy would give us away by barking beneath our tree. Crazy, a dog. He used to bark and पता लग जाता था कि कौन से ट्री पे मोहन और राइटर बैठे. When there was fruit to be picked, Mohan did the picking. The mangoes and lychees came into season during the summer. Summers में mangoes और lychees लगते थे. When I was away at boarding school, so I couldn't help with the fruit gathering. When the writer was away in his boarding school, तब वो मोहन के साथ फ्रूट्स पिक नहीं करवा पाता था. The papayas were in season during winter, but you don't climb papaya trees. They are too slender and wobbly. बहुत हल्के होते हैं papaya trees. You knock the papaya trees down with a long pole and catch them before they hit the earth. एक लंबे से पोल से पपाया ट्री को नीचे झुकाते थे और जब उसको गिरने से पपाया के जमीन पे गिरने से पहले ही उसको पकड़ लिया जाता था. मोहन also helped Granny with the pickling. Pickling means अचार डालते हैं जो. तो ग्रैनी के साथ मोहन ये भी करवाता था. She was just famous for her pickles. Granny was very famous for her pickles. Green mangoes pickled in oil were always popular. So was her hot lime pickle. And she was equally good at pickling turnips, carrots, cauliflowers, chilies, and other fruits and vegetables. So Granny variety of pickles डालती थी. उनके पास variety of pickles होते थे. She could pickle almost anything from nasturtium seed to jackfruit. Nasturtium is a garden plant. Until Uncle Ken didn't care for pickles. So I was always urging Granny to make more of them. My own preference was sweet chutneys and sauces, but I ate pickles too, even the very hot ones. So the writer was very fond of these pickles also. Sweet chutneys भी पसंद थी उनको, but chutney और sauce के साथ साथ वो pickles भी खाते. One winter when Granny's funds were low, Mohan and I went from house to house selling pickles for her. अब एक टाइम जब वन विंटर जब सर्दियों के समय ग्रैनी के पास पैसे कम थे तो उनको हेल्प करने के लिए मोहन एंड द राइटर दे वेंट फ्रॉम हाउस टू हाउस. जो ग्रैनी के बने हुए पिकल्स थे उनको बेचने गए. In spite of all the people and pets she fed, Granny wasn't rich. The house had come to her from grandfather, but here wasn't much money in the bank. उनके बैंक में ग्रैनी के बैंक में बहुत ज़्यादा पैसे नहीं थे. The mango crop brought in a fair amount every year, and there was a small pension from the railways. Grandfather had been one of the pioneers who had helped bring the railway line to Dehra at the turn of the century. Grandfather was working in railway, so जो pension आता था वो थोड़ा बहुत pension आता था ग्रैनी के पास. But there was no other income. And now that I come to think of it, all those wonderful meals consisted of only one course, followed by a sweet dish. It was Granny's cooking that turned a modest meal into a feast. वो ग्रैनी के हाथ का कुकिंग होता था जो कि एक सिंपल से मील को भी एक बहुत बड़ा फीस्ट बना देता. I wasn't ashamed to sell pickles for Granny. It was great fun. Mohan and I armed ourselves with baskets filled with pickle bottles, then set off to cover houses in our area. Major Clark, across the road, was our first customer. First customer for buying pickle. He had red hair and bright blue eyes and was almost always good-humored. And what have you got there, Rusty? He asked. Pickles, sir. Pickles? Have you been making them? अब मेजर क्लार्क उससे पूछते थे क्या पिकल्स तुमने बनाए हैं? No, sir. They're my grandmother's. We are selling them so we can buy a turkey for Christmas. हम इनको बेच रहे हैं जिससे कि हमारे पास मनी आ जाएगा और उससे हम एक टर्की खरीदेंगे क्रिसमस के लिए. Mrs. Bond's pickle. Well, I'm glad. Mine is the first house on your way because I'm sure that basket will soon be empty. Now, Mr. Clark said, oh, it's Mrs. Bond's pickles. There's no one who can make a pickle like your grandmother, son. I've said it before and I'll say it again. She is God's gift to the world that is terribly short of good cooks. Now, Mr. Clark is praising Mrs. Pond, Granny. Mr. Clark is praising the writer's granny. My wife has gone shopping, so I can talk quite freely. You see, what have you got this time? Now Mr. Clark asked these children, Kya laye hain? Stuffed chilies, I trust. She knows they are my favorite. I shall be deeply wounded if there are no stuffed chilies in that basket. There were, in fact, 3 bottles of stuffed red chilies in the basket, and Major Clark took all of them because Major Clark was very fond of stuffed chilies. Our next call was at Miss Kellner's house. Repeating. Our next call was at Miss Kellner's house. Miss Kellner could not eat hot food, so it was no use offering her pickles because pickles are hot also, and Miss Kellner was not fond of the hot food, so it was useless giving her the pickles. But she bought a bottle of preserved ginger. उन्होंने preserve किया हुए ginger का bottle था वो खरीद लिया. And she gave me a little prayer book. Whenever I went to see her, she gave me a prayer book, and it was always the same. Further down the road, Dr. Dutt, who was in charge in the hospital, brought several bottles of lime pickle, saying it was good for his liver. And Mr. Hurry, who owned a garage at the end of the road and sold all the latest cars, bought 2 bottles of pickled onions and begged us to bring him another 2 in the following month. So the pickles, Granny's pickles, were so famous. Everybody wanted to buy them. By the time we got home, the basket would usually be empty, and Granny richer by 20 or 30 rupees, enough in those days for a turkey. Uncle Ken stayed for Christmas and ate most of the turkey. It's high time you found a job, said Granny to Uncle Ken one day. There are no jobs in Dehra, complained Uncle Ken. How can you tell? You have never looked for one. Now, Granny says, ऐसा कैसे बोल सकते हो? कभी भी तुमने find out नहीं किया. And anyway, you don't have to stay here forever. Your sister Emily is headmistress of a school in Lucknow. You could go to her. She said before that she was ready to put you in charge of the dormitory. Bah, said Uncle Ken. Honestly, Aunt May, you don't expect me to look after a dormitory, see things with 40 or 50 demented small boys. Dormitory is a very big hall where the children live. What's demented? I asked. Shut up, said Uncle Ken. It means crazy, said Granny. So many words mean crazy. I complained. Crazy, there are many words which mean crazy. Why don't we just say crazy? We have a crazy dog, and now Uncle Ken's crazy too. The dog is also crazy, and Uncle Ken is also getting crazy now. See, Uncle Ken, Granny, and here the writer. Uncle Ken clipped me over the ear, and Granny said, your uncle isn't crazy, so don't be disrespectful. He's just lazy. An eccentric. What does eccentric means? Irregular. He's not regular in his work. I said, I heard he was eccentric. Who said I was eccentric? Demanded Uncle Ken. Now Uncle Ken said, किसने कहा कि मैं eccentric हूँ, irregular हूँ? Miss Leslie. I lied. I knew Uncle Ken was fond of Miss Leslie, who ran a beauty parlor in Dehra's smart shopping center. I don't believe you, said Uncle Ken. Anyway, when did you see Miss Leslie? He asked writer. We sold her some mint chutney last week. I told her you liked mint chutney. but she said she had bought it for Mr. Hutton, who's taking her to the picture tomorrow. So this was a fun conversation between Uncle Ken and the writer. And the writer here is Ruskin Bond. Now we come to the word meanings, children. Fudge, a sweet, soft sweet made from sugar, butter and milk, which often had flavoring added. Pickle, vegetables preserved in a mustard oil, vinegar, etc. Pickle, अचार को किस में प्रिजर्व किया जाता है? या तो मस्टर्ड ऑयल में या vinegar, and other many more things are put in. Creatures, living beings. Bats, a mouse-like flying mammal. You all must have seen the bats. Explore, to examine carefully. Crazy, stupid. Wobbly, shaky. Nasturtium, a garden plant. We had read in the chapter all these words. Humor, the ability of perceive. Quiet, completely. Stuffed, filled, several, many. Dormitory, a large bedroom. Demented, crazy. Complain, to express feelings of pain. Eccentric, irregular. Now, let's move ahead, children. We come to the comprehension here. Darken the correct option in OMR sheet. So, I'll just tell you the correct option and you have to fill in the OMR sheet yourself. We would climb into the branches of the dash tree. Mango, apple, jackfruit, orange. Mohan and the writer, where did they used to sit, on which tree? It was the jackfruit tree. Ticket. When there was fruit to be picked, Dash did the picking. Mohan, Granny, Uncle Ken, Aunt May. Mohan did the picking. Uncle Ken didn't care for Aunt Granny, pickles, Mohan, mango. Uncle Ken didn't care for pickles. Fine, children. Let's move ahead. Uncle Ken stayed for Christmas and ate most of the cake, turkey, butter, fruits. He ate most of the turkey. Now, next is fill in the blanks. So, few words given are crops, helped, wonderful, beneath. But the tree itself was dash for climbing. The tree itself was wonderful for climbing. So, write down wonderful here. Sometime Crazy would give up away by barking dash our tree. By barking beneath our tree. So, B-E-N-E-A-T-H, beneath our tree. Mohan also dashed Granny with the pickling. Mohan also helped Granny with the pickling. H-E-L-P-E-T. The mango dash brought in a fair amount every year. The mango crops brought in a fair amount every year. Next is, say if the given statements are true, T, or false, F. Mohan worked in Granny's kitchen. No, this is false. He was the gardener's son. Rusty's grandfather was an employee in railways. Yes, true. Dr. Dutt found lime pickle good for liver. Yes, this is also true. T. Miss Leslie had really brought chutney from Rusty. Yes, true. Now answer the following questions. Granny would send some fudge for Mohan. Why wouldn't she send meat? Granny wouldn't send meat for Mohan because nobody used to eat meat at their home. So she sent some fudge to Mohan's house. Sometimes Crazy would give us away, barking beneath our tree. Who is Crazy? Crazy is the dog. Crazy is the dog. What would Granny do to earn money. Granny would make pickles. Granny used to make different kinds of pickles and used to sell them to earn money. What advice did Granny give to Uncle Ken? Granny advised Uncle Ken to go to his sister's place who was working in a boarding school, where she had offered Uncle Ken to look after the dormitory. Vocabulary. Correct the following misspelt words. Now, there are some words given whose spellings have been written wrongly. They are misspelled. We have to correct them. इनके spellings को हमें ठीक से लिखना है. Now, see very carefully, read very carefully. This is V-A-N-I-L-A, vanilla. What's the spelling of vanilla? V-A-N-I-L-L-A, vanilla. S-W-E-T-T, sweet. No. S-W-E-E-T, sweet. Wonderful. W-O-N-D-E-R-F-U-L. Wonderful. F-U-double. Sorry, F-U-L. It's correct. Squirrel. S-Q-U-I-R-R-E-L. Bathroom. B-A-T-H-R-O-O-M. Bathroom. Popular. Popular. P-O-P-U-L-A-R. Popular. Always. A-L-W-A-Y-S. The last one is pioneer. P-I-O-N-E-R. Pioneer. No, there are more. Ashamed. A-S-H-A-M-E-D. Ashamed. Railways. R-A-I-L-W-A-Y-S. Railways. Okay, children. So we have written these correct spellings. Now we come to the grammar section. Use the following words in your own sentence. Now you have to make sentences with these words. I'll do few of them and rest of them you have to do it yourself. Son. So make a sentence with son. My uncle came to our house with his son. Okay, and underline son. Kitchen. Mother is cooking. Mother is cooking in the kitchen. K-I-T-C-H-E-N, kitchen. So what we have to underline? Underline kitchen. Okay. Now, one tree. Okay, we'll make a sentence with tree. A bird, a beautiful bird was sitting on a mango tree. So underline tree. So rest of the words you have to make the sentences of your own. Okay, children? So we move ahead. Speaking skills. Talk in pair about Granny and Mohan. What they did for their livelihood. Granny और मोहन अपने livelihood के लिए क्या करते थे, क्या क्या चीज़ें Granny बनाती थी, कहाँ जाके बेचते थे मोहन उन्हें, that you have to talk about. Writing skills. Write a short note about pickling. How will you conserve the mango pickle for 2 years? Write your point of views in your own words. Now for this you have to talk to your grandmother. You have to talk to your mother. आप दोनों से बात कीजिए और उनसे पता कीजिए कि पिकलिंग कैसे की जाती है. 2 years के लिए अगर किसी मैंगो पिकल को प्रिजर्व करना है तो उसमें क्या क्या डाला जाता है. That you have to talk to your grandmother, granny or mother. Write a letter to your friend congratulating him or her on his or her recovery from illness. आपका कोई फ्रेंड बीमार पड़ा है, बहुत दिनों से बीमार है वो, और उसकी तबीयत धीरे धीरे ठीक हो गई है, he is ready to come back to school. So you write a letter, एक लेटर लिखी अपने फ्रेंड को कंग्रेचुलेट करते हुए उसकी इलनेस से रिकवरी की. Fine children. Now values. Write few lines on a farmer. A farmer, किसान. किसान पे हमें कुछ लाइंस लिखनी है. Just read out about a farmer, what all things a farmer does. A farmer is the most important person because he is the person who grows crops for us and we get food to eat. He grows crops, vegetables, fruits, etc. So write down about a farmer here. So children, here we end up with the chapter. I hope you have had great fun reading this chapter. And what else? You have to stay tuned for the new video. I'll be back with a new chapter for you. Till then, bye.